Boone back up the middle, hits off of Heller. This is going to do it. Drive home safely. Eric Young Jr. with a walk-off.
Well, the Halos needed some late-inning heroics last night in order to pick up the victory and even up the series at a game of peace. And tonight for the Big A with the Yankees in town, it's the rubber game of the series between the Pinstripers and your Halos. We welcome you inside the Big A and back to Angels baseball here on Fox Sports West along with Mark Gubiza. I'm Victor Rojas, and we knew a couple of weeks ago with Mike Trout getting hurt and going to be out for about 6 to 8 weeks after the subsequent surgery that it was going to be a tough go for the Angels. And I tell you what, you look in this clubhouse, this is still a very resilient team, and you add the spark plug that is Eric Young Jr., that just makes it all the better.
He's been very good, Victor, when you think about it, with his glove, the speed, the energy he's bringing. His game last night was certainly worthy of a Carl's Cam replay. What he was able to do, especially be able to tie the game up, how quick he was on a fastball inside. That was a firm fastball inside part of the plate after a guy throws a lot of changeups, brings those hands through the baseball, drives it out, ties the game at that moment. And then with the opportunity later in the game with a couple guys on base, ground ball liner right back up the middle, wins the game. Second career walk-off hit, first as an Angel, 3 home runs on the season, but that energy he brings on the field, on the bases, and in that clubhouse has been off the charts so far. They're going to need him against a very good pitcher here tonight in Michael Pineda.
Yeah, Michael Pineda on the mound. He has struggled out on the road this year. Matt Shoemaker's on the bump for the Angels, trying to pick up a series win before the Kansas City Royals roll into town for the first of 4 tomorrow night. We're just about ready for baseball here at the Big A. Sit back and relax. Going to bring you the lineups and the first pitch when we return.
Southern California Land Rover retailers. By Jack in the Box, come try the new sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger and chicken sandwich for limited time only. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places.
It is a warm one here at the Big A. Temperatures getting up into the upper 80s. I think touch 90 on certain spots here in Orange County. The Angels are celebrating their Christmas and June promotion. Blanket giveaway night here tonight, so big crowd expected. Matt Shoemaker on the mound for the Halos, trying to pick up a series win. They were able to do that on Sunday against a very good Houston Astros team, and they're leaning on Shoe here tonight to try to do that against a very good New York Yankees team. The Yankees, after the game, will head up to Oakland to take on the Athletics. The Angels will remain here, as we mentioned in the open, to take on the Kansas City Royals, who finished off their series against the Giants earlier this afternoon. Shoemaker's on the mound, and we'll take a look at the Yankees lineup as presented by their skipper, Joe Girardi, now in his 10th season, currently at 38-24. They're in first place with a 3-game lead in the American League East. And Gooby, your pick to not click tonight, Aaron Hicks.
Yeah, Aaron Hicks is really, when you think about it, he's had a really solid season. Batting average in the top 10 in the American League. On base percentage of .423, second best in the American League. A lot of talk is about Aaron Judge, but Aaron Hicks has swung the bat very well for the Yankees so far this season.
Matt Shoemaker comes into play tonight. And you know what? He's coming off not a bad start against the Houston Astros. 6-3 on the season with a 4.22 ERA.
Man, he's been very good at home. 4-1, 6-0 at night this season for Matt Shoemaker. You mentioned those 6 wins so far, 67 punch-outs and 74 2/3 fastballs, 90-94. He'll throw his slider, quite a few sliders to right-handed batters, occasional curve to lefties, and his split about 30% of the time he'll throw his split-finger fastball.
Take a look at the defense tonight for the Angels behind Shoemaker. You've got Young at left, Maben in center, Calhoun at right. The infield with Escobar and Simmons on the left side. Espinosa and Valbuena on the right side. That'd be unbelievable if Uni could cover both third and second during one game. Juan Gratterall behind the plate.
Speaking of covering a lot of ground, Cameron Maben has been really solid, especially since coming back from the disabled list, playing center field. It's his 16th start. He has no errors in center field. He's made some outstanding plays already in this series.
That'd be like a little league move, huh?
Yeah.
We're just going to play 7 defenders. You know, we'll have our guys just swing back and forth.
Well, with all these defensive shifts,
you're
he
right,
can work his way over there.
Take a shot at it. This will be Shu's 14th start of the season. And looking for his 7th win last night. The Angels, of course, picking up the walk-off victory in 11 innings in a brisk 4 hours and 14 minutes. A lot of base runners in the ballgame, a lot of strikeouts as well. And we'll see what the strike zone looks like tonight. It's the crew chief, Jerry Davis, calling the balls and strikes tonight. Pat Hoberg at first base, Tony Randazzo at second, and it's Rob Drake at third. See that ribbon of sunshine cutting across the mound. That'll happen for the first inning thereabouts. Escobar in on the grass. Brett Gardner settles into the batter's box. .261 average, a .345 on base percentage. One hit last night, going 1 for 6. First one tonight, down and in. Eleven doubles, a triple, 13 home runs, 30 runs batted in for Brett. 1-1. At balmy 80 degrees at first pitch.
Only going to get hotter as the week progresses.
June gloom was here for like 3 days and it was gone.
It was around long enough, I think, for a lot of people in the month of May, though.
Yeah. Here's 1-1. Just off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. We've told you about this Yankees team. Just a game over 500 out of the road, but they could swing the bats. Lead the league in on-base percentage, slugging, runs, home runs, second in average. Leaving the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And for the norm, a lot of pitches already early seen by Brett Gardner and the Yankees in general. When you look at what the Yankees have done as far as seeing pitches, they're averaging 3.98 pitches per plate appearances as a team. So they'll be aggressive on occasion on the first pitch, but for the most part, they will see quite a few pitches. Almost by any team in baseball, number of pitches seen.
This is hit toward the hole, and it's a leadoff single for Gardner. I want to ask you about that because how much of that is, and we've seen this Yankees team be aggressive early in counts, how much is that the patience of Yankees hitters versus, I guess, the the shakiness of a pitcher facing a very good offense.
I think it comes into play on a couple batters, especially when you think of Brett Gardner. He sees quite a few. Starting Castro swings early, Gregorius swings early, but Aaron Judge is going to see a lot of pitches because most pitchers aren't going to be aggressive and challenging him with fastball. Right. So you're right. It's going to be certain guys will see more, and that brings that average up as a team. But Brett Gardner, always very patient at the plate.
Well, he's on board with that leadoff single. Threat the run, has 7 stolen bases on the year. Been caught once. Yankees as a team, 37 bags. Good lead for Gardner. Hicks trying to bunt. Puts it into the seats. 0-1.
2 pickoffs this year for Shoemaker. Again, his best move is before he settles into a stretch position. He's quick on his throw over. We've seen a lot of base runners against Shoemaker of late. They don't establish their leads until he gets in that set position from the stretch. So Gardner just waiting there first as he's finally moving off the bag, knowing that's that quick move that Shoemaker has before he establishes the stretch position. Gratterall with a very strong throwing arm himself. He's thrown out 53% of base stealers this season. Very good pitch framer, solid game caller, but a very good throwing arm. One thing at this point of the game here, when you're in the stretch, that sun is right in your eyes as a pitcher, especially a right-handed pitcher, I should say.
Gardner with a leadoff single over at first base. 1-1 count on Hicks, switch hitting center fielder. And with Shoemaker's on the mound and there's someone on base, the game slows down a bit. It's always been one of those guys that will hold the baseball quite often. Because it appears if Valbuena's got to deal with that sunshine over at first base. Quick throw and quick tag by Luis.
And that's that move he has before he establishes in stretch position. That's his quickest move. 2 pickoffs this year. Looking in, see if Mike Scioscia may indeed challenge it. See him trying to get his lead. And that quick throw over, real close.
Very close.
When he got that hand in that back part of the base, though, that's what you want to do as a base runner. A little bit longer tag. That's real close.
No challenge.
I think it's one of those plays. It's so close at this point of the game. And I don't know if it's worth a challenge right away. Because if you're wrong, you don't have a challenge again until that 8th inning.
Two balls and a strike. Halos did make a move today before the game. They said Mike Moore back to AAA. Right-hander Parker Bridwell called up. And Parker's made a spot start for the Angels and actually picked up the win, his first big league win. Right-hander whom the Angels acquired from the Orioles earlier this year. And throw to first.
Another quick throw over the first base. Good footwork for Shoemaker. And before he establishes that stretch position, bringing the hands into the glove.
Two-one pitch. Hicks waving at the on-speed pitch, evens up the count of 2-2. Aaron's having a fantastic season. .312 average, .423 on base percentage. One hit last night. It was a first inning single. We're going 1 for 4. Also drew a walk.
Maybe going here. He thought about going. Wise decision not to go.
Yeah, it looked like he wanted to go. Now the ball is foul tipped into the mid, one down.
And not only is it going to be a foul tip strikeout, but that's a perfect spot for a catcher. You want something away to give you a better shot at throwing out a would-be base stealer. This baseball ran to the outside part of the plate, 94. Two-seam fastball. That's designed to be at the hip and bring in the corner, but that ran out over the plate. But enough movement on it and good velocity on it to get a swing and miss.
Aaron Judge serving as a DH. Second time he's done that this year. .341 batting average, 22 home runs, 49 runs batted in. Looks at a strike.
We were talking about it a little bit about on the pregame show on how to pitch Aaron Judge, especially as big and as strong as he is. But he likes to get those arms extended. You still, at some point, if you're Matt Shoemaker, you're going to have to pitch inside, even if you miss off the plate in.
3 strikeout game last night for him. Going 0 for 4. Slider missing. Ball 1 strike. Third time this year in which he's had 3 or more punch outs in a game. That's saying something considering how well he's swung the bat this year. Contact rate. Gardner over at first base with a leadoff single. Cue shot up the first base side, 1-2. Aaron came into the series leading all Triple Crown categories. Average, home runs, and RBIs. Still leads in average and in home runs, but now second to Nelson Cruz in the RBI total. Cruz with 52 at the start of play today. But he does lead in slugging, .714 slugging percentage. 25 years of age. Matt Holliday on deck.
I think that's by design. You had Juan Gradwell set up in, and then to throw over the first base just to see if he would be looking back at location of that pitch, and he might go right back away against him.
Gardner's on the move, swing and a foul at the plate. Just got a piece of it. Gardner goes diving and hit first. He'll head back to first base.
It's a pretty good split finger fastball from Shoemaker. See, we're so far in this at bat against Judge, he's pitched everything away. Keep in mind, though, Judge has hit 8 home runs the other way. So at some point, you're going to have to establish something in off the plate.
It's like they want to go back outside. 1-2. Smothered by Gratterall. .15 pitches thrown by Shoemaker. 9 strikes, 6 balls, a single, and a punch out. See what Gardner decides to do here at first base. Doesn't go. Just down and in, full count.
Yeah, you can see he was looking away. He was beating on that fastball inside, but just a little bit off the inside corner, though.
Figure that Gardner will definitely be on the move now.
A chance of a strike him out, throw him out.
That Sunshine no longer on the mound. So not affecting Shoe. or Valbuena. Perhaps Gardner a little bit. Full count with 1 out. Gardner goes 3-2. That's ripped to left field. That'll fall in for a base hit. Gardner will turn and head to third. And the Yankees have runners at the corners for Matt Holliday with 1 out.
And when you get to that 3-2 count with Gardner on the move, even a base hit in the left field is going to allow him to go first to third. We talked about a lot of these pitches. This one pitch was on the inside part of the plate. That's a splitter that stayed right out over the plate. And he lines it into left field with Gardner on the move. Reads that well, easily gets in to third base. But you still have the double play in order. That's the problem when you're facing a powerful hitter like Aaron Judge. When he's able to get his arms extended, he's going to have that plate coverage. You have to establish that fastball off the plate in, and then that outer part becomes yours.
On top of that, for Shu, he's got to have the sharp splitter. If that's going to be the splitter tonight, you're asking for trouble.
Yes, I mean, especially when you think about the bat speed that so many hitters in this Yankee lineup have.
Gardner third, Judge at first. First one to Holliday. He's in tight.
Almost looked like Judge was thinking about going.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
He's got 5 stolen bases, been caught twice.
Matt Holliday playing first base tonight. DH in the first 2 games, hitting .273. 13 home runs, 44 runs batted in. An 0 for 5 game last night.
Just looking at Aaron Judge, he's trying to get lead from our angle right here. He's trying to see Shoemaker and pick up and read when he's going home, but the sunshine is right in his eye. So he can't tell if he's going home or thrown over at this moment. But he has that look that he's going to try to steal at some point in this at bat. See that sun right in his eyes as he's trying to read Shoemaker.
2-1. .20 pitches here in the first for Shu. Yankees last night 1 for 8 with men in scoring position. 5 for 20 in the series. Judge on the move, and it's a swing and a miss. A throw down to second is a good one. Judge, did he come off the base? Espinosa says he did.
I think he went off the base as he slid by it.
I thought so as well. Tony Randazzo with the call at second. For both Espinosa and Simmons to look in that quickly, they felt that he maybe came off the bag.
Dino Evil calling in to Steve Solis right away. He certainly beats the throw. And right there, he's off the base. Yep. Yeah. And you see him trying to get that foot back on there. Now, did he keep that tag on the leg as the hand went off the base? That's the thing you're going to look for. This angle.
Go ahead.
Oh, he still has that pinky on there.
Oh, the pinky. Yes, he did,
yes.
huh?
Yeah, he kept that pinky on.
Wow.
Yes, he did. That one angle looked like he was off the base, but he's able to keep that finger on the base.
That's unbelievable.
Yes.
The hand eventually did come off, but the foot was on there.
And you could see why Danny and Hamilton were thinking they had him. But when you look at that angle, real good angle our guys got. Cannot challenge it.
Valbuena at first. 2-2. Full count.
So an aggressive team already for the Yankees. Gardner going, ends up going to third on the base hit by Judge and a stolen base by Aaron Judge tonight.
Back-to-back full counts for Shoemaker. Starlin Castro's on deck. Here comes the payoff pitch. Holliday skies one out to center field. Hit well. Maben going back on it. Near the wall, will reach up and make the catch. So it goes a sacrifice fly. Gardner will score, and the Yankees have a 1-0 lead.
That pitch was upstairs, right in the heart of the plate. Holiday just missed that one, but does produce the first run of the game for the Yankees, scoring Brett Gardner, picking up his 45th RBI.
Judge takes third base.
If that split again, that it's not having that darting action. And right to dead center field. May have been able to run that one down. Fortunate enough, though, it stayed in the yard.
Yeah, right now it's like a bad slider. It's like a backup slider. You know it's on when you get that darting action straight down. Shoemaker will work from the full windup here. Castro up. First pitch in there.
When you think about the batting average against Matt Shoemaker's split finger fastball this season, Sterling Castro is a guy that hits the fastball well, but also will sit back very good on an off-speed pitch. So you having a dangerous at bat. His batting average against him on the split so far this season, 198, but he has allowed 7 home runs versus his splitter. But that 198 batting average, very solid, fourth lowest versus split amongst MLB starters. But when it's been a mistake, it's been one that's been hit hard.
Long top of the first. And a lot of pitches for Matt Shoemaker. 26 so far. Michael Pineda, the starter for the Yankees, just waiting. Knows at least he's got a 1-0 lead. And he takes them out. Another 0-2. That's up and in. Did not hit him. And it looked like it grazed the forearm. And it's a hit by pitch. So the first continues.
He runs that fastball up and in off the fingers. Especially as most of these hitters for the Yankees are looking out over the plate, especially when you play half your games in Yankee Stadium. You're diving out over the plate to try to drive the ball to right field. Hopefully his hand's all right on that one.
So it's Gary Sanchez at the plate. Runners at the corners and still 2 outs. Sanchez at .268 on the year. 10 home runs and 28 RBIs. 0 for 4 with a walk last night.
A lot of pitches thrown here in the first inning for Shu. 28 of them, 16 strikes, 12 out of the strike zone.
Castro has not attempted a stolen base yet this year. And that is out to deep left field. Eric Young Jr. will watch this one go, and it's 4-0 Yankees. Hanging breaking ball. Sanchez hits his 11th of the season.
Well, we talked about it last night when you look at his numbers versus the changeup and slider. Batting average well over 300 with 4 home runs. Well, this is home run number 5 on a breaking ball. Slider. This baseball went a long way. He has great power on off-speed pitches over both bullpens. For Sanchez, home run number 11.
Didi Gregorius at the plate. Bases cleared. Still 2 outs. Leading with a 15-game hitting streak. Personal best. It's at 381 during that stretch. One ball, one strike.
Runs that fastball upstairs. And have to establish the fastball right now. Early on, the splitter has not been there for Shu.
Flores flares one out to shallow right. Espinosa going out. Calhoun and Danny with the over-the-shoulder catch to save Shoemaker. Of this inning continuing with the Yankees strike for 4. Halos down 4-0 as we head to the bottom of the first. The bottom of the first inning, and I guess the only good thing about that is it happens early. It gives the Angels 9 innings to try to chip away at that deficit. As we took a look at Mike Scioscia's lineup, Halos at 34-34. This is game number 69 of the season. Your pick to click tonight, Luis Valbuena.
Well, Valbuena's had some pretty good success against Pineda in his career. 5 for 12, a 417 batting average. He's going to get some opportunities with runners on base. It's going to be that time for him to deliver and use the gaps, left center, right center, to be successful against Pineda. My go-tos to be successful against Michael Pineda is you got to barrel up his cutter. He throws a lot of cut fastballs and make him field his position.
First one's in for a strike. David Calhoun at Pujols here in the bottom of the first. Pineda, the native of the Dominican Republic, now 28 years of age. Good year this year. Matter of fact, 7 wins. One more than he had all of last year in 32 starts. This is his 13th start of the season. As we mentioned in the open, he has struggled away from Yankee Stadium. This one's down the right field line. This one's got a chance to sneak into fair territory, and it goes just foul.
Pretty good swing by Maven, though.
Yeah.
That baseball travel, almost got that down the line for would have been a ground rule double. 3 pitches in a row in the outer part of the plate. You're going to see a lot of, especially with this cut fastball from Pineda. And just goes foul. By a baseball and a half.
Pineda away from Yankee Stadium this year, 1-2 with a 5.96 ERA. Breaking pitch. This is low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he has that wipeout slider. Batting average against his slider this season, 128 batting average against his slider. It's a very sharp, quick slider. Throws a lot of them. About 38% of his pitches, sliders.
Bouncer toward third. Headley has to back up on it. That's a fair ball. Put it in your pocket because that's an infield base hit. Maybe Headley hoping that ball was going foul. So Maven's on board.
And right down the line, Headley playing off the bag. See right over the line. By the chalk to being a fair ball. Drake right there. See that baseball in fair territory.
Just got to cross a portion of the bag in order for it to be fair. It doesn't matter where it lands as long as it crosses the bag at some point. So man on for Cole.
19 stolen bases for Maben. And caught once.
Off to a big lead already.
Pineda with 1 pickoff this season. 4 in his career. He's allowed 4 stolen bases in 7 attempts.
Cole 82-37, 10 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Got the shift on him with 3 infielders on the right. That's out towards center field, off the end of the bat. 1 down.
And my Hyundai key for this game for the Angels to be successful. I just feel Albert Pujols is going to be feeded here tonight. Little nickelback. Feed the machine. The machine with some base runners on for him. See if he can do some damage. Drive the baseball like we've seen throughout his career. He's going to have to come up big, especially down here early, 4-0 against the Yankees.
Albert 0 for 5 last night. And he'll take a little bit high.
We had a lot of pitches called off the outside corner yesterday. That backup slider by CC Sabathia.
Two balls, no strikes. Albert comes in hitting .232, 10 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Tied for 41st all time with Frankie Frisch, the all-time hit list with 2,880. Sitting at 601 career home runs. Line to center field, a base hit, so he's now in 41st place all time by himself with 28-81. 2 on, 1 out. Take a look at the Yankees on the defensive side of things before Escobar comes to the plate. Gardner, Hicks, and Refsnyder in the outfield from left to right. It's Headley, Gregorius, Castro, and Holiday from third to first. Sanchez behind the plate.
And early on, Gregorius, when you're taking over that shortstop position Dirk Jeter had for all those years, kind of struggled early on, but this season so far has been very good. Just 1 error, .994 fielding percentage, 15 double plays turned. Very good range for Didi at shortstop for the Yankees.
Now Escobar with a lot of experience against Michael Pineda. 7 for 18. That's a .389 batting average. A double, couple of home runs, 2 runs batted in. He's got Maben at second, Pujols at first with 1 out. Yankees up 4-0. 1-0. Line to right field. Refsnyder will play it on a hop. Maben had to kind of hold up to see if Refsnyder was going to catch it. It goes as a single. The bases are loaded for Valbuena.
You mentioned those numbers for Escobar versus Pineda. continues to climb, 8 for 19 now. Some good swings early on, middle of the field, the other way against Pineda. He will throw a lot of cut fastballs away, sliders, occasional fastball in. Also has a pretty solid changeup. Fastball is going to be 92 to 96 range.
Infield back at double play depth with one out, bases loaded. Luis hitting 171. 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 13 runs batted in. Takes low.
Good take on that hard slider first pitch by Valbuena. The exact same pitch, and he chased that one.
They're trying to pull quite a bit. He'll struggle with doing so.
And that's what I was talking about as far as I think he can have a good game if he thinks in terms of left center field here tonight against Pineda. And if he makes a mistake on the inner part of the plate, you can still turn on it, but look away and drive the ball to left center field.
2-1. Got into the game last night as a pinch hitter, went 0 for 1 with a walk. Maven standing at third, Pujols at second, Escobar at first. Out towards center field. Will chase Hicks back near the warning track of the wall. Leaps up and he'll make the catch. What a play by Aaron Hicks. Robs Valbuena of a grand slam. It's a sacrifice fly. 4-1 Yankees. Timed that lead perfectly.
Boy, with the Yankees with an early 4-0 lead, that almost evaporated with one swing of the bat by Luis Valbuena. It's a top-tier play brought to you by Arco, going back to the wall. See him putting his hand up there and time the leap perfectly to rob Valbuena of a game-tying grand slam. What a play by Aaron Hicks. Leaps up, what a play. Outstanding play, but sac fly in 1 run home, but Valbuena thought he had a grand slam.
There's Andrelton Simmons. He'll line this one to Headley, and the inning comes to an end. Just like that. Hard hit baseballs all over the place. But the Angels manage just 1 run. 4-1 Yankees as we head to the second. 1, helped out, of course, by Aaron Hicks, robbing Luis Valbuena.
Well, you talk about keeping that focus, that eye on the baseball all the way into the glove. He was able to do so back at the wall in center field, where Valbuena thought he had tied the game up with that swing of the bat. Instead, ends up being a sac fly. Those numbers about run prevention, that's one of those plays right there to prevent it. 4 runs from scoring. 1 score, but could have been 4.
Eight, 9-1 for New York. Headley popping this one up. Escobar drifting over. 1 down. They join the Angels Friday with the Royals in town. Fans in attendance receive a Santa Rally Monkey, courtesy of Farmer John. While supplies last, just go to angels.com for more information. Shu needs a quick inning here in the second after throwing 33 pitches in the first. They'll face Rob Refsnyder, the right fielder. Judge DHing, so Refsnyder gets to start. 2 for 19 this year at the major league level. Product of Laguna Hills High School. The University of Arizona, 5th round pick by the Yankees in 2012. Refsnyder was hit .303 at AAA with a home run. 10 runs batted in. Also had 11 doubles.
A guy that can play a number of different positions for the Yankees.
Last year playing some first base.
Yep.
This one's out to right field. Chasing Cole back. This one's got a chance, and near the wall, Cole can't come up with it. It's over his head. Bounce back toward the infield. Refsnyder racing around at third. His first triple of the season.
Well, on a warm day, we're seeing the baseball carrying very well.
Actually, his first major league triple for Refsnyder.
Cole getting back to the wall, leaps up and just by him. You see a lot of those approaches for the Yankee hitters because of the ballpark in New York, where the ball carries so well the other way. They're letting the baseball travel and driving the ball that way, and triples off the wall for Refsnyder. Sure has a lot of family and friends at the ball game here today.
Brett Gardner led off the game with a single to left and scored with the 4 runs New York put on the board in the first. Infield back for the Angels. Oh, one. That one had some good movement tailing away from Gardner.
And you wonder now with 2 strikes if Mike Scioscia might bring the infield in. It's like Anderson Simmons is moving in. A lot of times you'll see a manager do that with 2 strikes because the hitter's in protect mode.
Oh, 2. And that is in and out of the glove. Did he foul tip it? No, he did not. Gardner looked like he was asking Jerry Davis if he foul tipped it, but it's a swing and a miss. 2 down.
He didn't foul. He tried to sell it initially. Pretty good splitter there from Shoemaker. See no contact made.
For the most part, home plate umpires are just going off contact, or sound, I should say.
And when you hear that, especially with the mitt, sometimes you get fooled as an umpire as if he did foul that one off.
Here's Hicks. 2 outs. Refsnyder at third base. Hicks punched down in the first.
A couple of SoCal kids with Ref Snyder at third base. Aaron Hicks at the plate, pride of Woodrow Wilson High School.
And we talked about it before, a very good golfer, scratch golfer.
Back toward the middle, but Simmons is there. Sounded like he jammed him. And that triple stranded at third base. Went to the bottom of the second. Halos down 4-1. Brought to you by the Hyundai Better Than Ever sales event with the best total savings on select models in Hyundai's history is going on now at your Hyundai dealer. 4-1. Yankees lead it. We start the bottom of the second. Bottom third of the order coming up at Young. Espinosa and ground roll against Michael Pineda. Gave up a run on 3 hits. A couple of loud outs too in that first inning.
And I still think you try to make him field his position. Both corner infielders playing in. Try to take away a bunt potential for Ert Young Jr.
Back toward the middle, NY Jr. on base. Leadoff single. Came in batting .314. That'll go up. The veteran outfielder.
Boy, is he being impressive. Just trying to put the ball in play. His hands have been very quick.
17 for 52 now. 407 on base percentage before that base hit. Danny Espinosa. 164. 7 doubles, 5 home runs, 22 runs batted in. And he drives one down the right field line. If it's fair, it is gone toward the corner. Gone! Big fly from Danny Espinosa. 2-run shot and the Angels are down 1.
What a swing for Danny Espinosa. 6th home run, 24 RBI. Turned on it quickly. And some really good swings early on against Michael Pineda. Already 5 hits in the game, nearly a grand slam, and a line out by Simmons. So some great swings against him. It's a cut fastball, inner half of the plate. Try to go backdoor with a cutter. And he turns on it, barrel of the bat, and some lift on it for Danny Espinosa. And no doubter. well out the right field. By that 350 sign.
Grounder all went around. First time a check swing's been called a strike in this series. Juan hitting .257, getting the start behind the plate today, and he'll pull this one foul.
Well, we talked about how resilient this club has been. You fall behind 4-0 against New York Yankees as well as they have played this season. You almost tie it up. Bottom of the first, and right away, 2-run home run in the second. Scioscia's club has been battling since we even saw him back in Tempe.
Grounder shoots one out toward right center field. Refsnyder moves over and reaches up, makes the catch. That's a good indication right there, the carry that the baseball has. Because even as he was cutting across, then he still had to reach up for it.
The baseball is carrying very well here tonight. They're able to come back, 24 comeback victories for the Angels. And come back here already just down by 1 after being down 4-0 in the top of the first.
I know Angel fans keep wondering the same thing, and I know folks that come in from out of town ask us the same question every time. How are you guys winning? What's going on? We don't ask because you can't figure it out. It's just it's inherent in this ball club, since you said since spring training, that they continue to just battle back.
Unbelievable belief in themselves, even with key members of this team not playing at this moment.
Maben had an infield base hit in the first, scored the first run. Jerry Davis calling that a strike. It looked like it was.
Tell you what, Eric Young Jr. has really provided a lot of energy to this club. He's had some clutch hits. We talked about that in the opening last night. Tied the game up in 8th, wins the game in extra innings. Second career walk-off hit, first as an Angel. It's on base, single, scores another run. What you're seeing early on for Pineda, he doesn't have a feel for his slider, and that's his pitch where he'll try to get his strikeouts. Albert Pujols would love an opportunity to get an at bat this inning.
Mentioned he struggled out on the road with that ERA close to 6. He's now given up 10 of his 14 home runs away from Yankee Stadium. Ground ball right side, and falling on it is Matt Holliday. He'll take it himself, 2 outs.
He almost looked up as if that baseball was by him.
So 2 outs, nobody on for Cole Calhoun.
Hasn't played a lot of first base in his career over the years, playing left field, whether it's Colorado, St. Louis, Oakland. Again, that's why you push the envelope by forcing the corner infielders to field bunts, Pineda to field a bunt.
Cole pulls one over to first, swinging first pitch, and that'll do it for the Angels. They do get a 2-run blast off the bat of Danny Espinosa, his 6th of the season. The Angels continue to chip away. They trail it now 4-3 as we head to the 3rd.
What a nice swing there for Espinosa, getting that barrel of the bat on the baseball. 2-run home run, 1-run game now.
Every home run and strikeout in this game raises money for prostate cancer research. So far in June, over $2.6 million have been raised in the challenge. You can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org.
Danny Espinosa with a 2-run home run. Now it's time for the driver's seat, brought to you by the new 2017 Kia Sorento, with Aaron Judge at the plate against Matt Shoemaker. Leads the majors with 22 home runs. 6 Yankees have led the majors in home runs for a full season. Some fantastic names you see there from the Babe, Joe DiMaggio, Roger Maris.
Aaron Judge with a rainmaker. Out to shallow right. Cole puts it away, 1 away.
Of course, you got Mickey Mantle in there, Lou Gehrig, and A-Rod amongst the 6 that have led the majors in home runs in a full season.
Sack fly for Holiday. Took Maven to the wall in center field. That's a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Holiday picking up his 45th run batted in. Coming to the play today. Oh, misses low. You look at the lineup for the Yankees. You wonder why they've scored 360 runs coming into play. RBI totals. I know a lot of people don't like them. In order: 30, 36, 49, 44, 41. There's your top 5 in the order.
By the way, I like that number. I mean, the RBI.
But I mean, that's a granted, guys. That means that the bottom 4 have got to get on base, and they have been doing so enough. And when they have been, they've picked them up in grand fashion. Holiday works the walk. First free pass issued by Shoemaker. That'll bring up Castro. Get back to this team and the Yankees when you play them. Go back several years ago. They had Teixeira, Jeter, A-Rod, Posada. That was a tough lineup. Matsui.
Very good lineup.
That lineup was like, all right, where do you where can you breathe?
Yeah, I was going to say, where's your breather in that lineup?
Exactly.
1 through 9. I guess that would be after the game, where you can go into the clubhouse and say, I survived. But that core got older together for a long period of time. Then finally the Yankees made some decisions, made some trades, and now they're back. That same type of depth in their lineup.
Castro looks at his strike. He was hit by a pitch. Shoemaker was ahead of the count in that plate appearance against Starlin Castro with 2 outs. Ended up hitting him. That brought up Gary Sanchez, who ended up hitting a 3-run home run.
Castro's rolled into 4 double plays. Shoemaker's had 6 turned behind him.
Reaching for it, Escobar's got it. Over to Espinosa for 1, relay back to first, inning-ending double play. Albert Pujols to lead things off for the Angels in the bottom of the 3rd. Halos down a run.
third inning. Hey, folks, celebrate Father's Day on Sunday with the Royals in town. The first 20,000 adults in attendance get a Father's Day coffee mug courtesy of Old Dominion Household Services while supplies last. More info, just go to angels.com. Pujols lead things off for the Halos here. Espinosa for the home run to draw the Angels within a 1. Albert skies it foul. Albert 1 for 1 at a base hit to center field.
Well, he had a pretty good pitch to drive there. Just missed that one. Fastball upper part of the strike zone. Now he's 3 hits away from Zach Wheat on the all-time hit list.
That would be for 40th all time. Two balls, 1 strike.
Yeah.
Albert, in case you're wondering, 12th all time in doubles, 13th in RBIs, 9th in home runs.
And early on, Pineda not a good feel for his slider so far. That was a little better, his slider.
Base hit for Albert in that first at bat. First knock against Pineda. Now 1 for 4 in his career.
Couple fastballs upper part of the strike zone. That's the bat, and then sliders below the strike zone. Pitching them north and south in this at bat. Generally, you'll see Pineda go east to west as far as inside outside corner. Now going upper part of the strike zone, lower part of the strike zone against Pujols. There was again a hard slider in the dirt.
Albert pulls one through the left side, make that 2-hit night. Leadoff single. That's 3 straight innings, which the leadoff man has reached.
6 hits allowed by Pineda already in this game. Went down and got that slider and lines it in the hole between short and third for Albert. 2 for 2.
Ooh, big swing.
And he's had some, we mentioned his good numbers against him, but he's also had 2 home runs against Pineda in his career for Escobar. He was looking for number 3. Trying to do some serious damage on that swing.
Ground ball down the line. Headley with a diving stop. He'll go to first base. Low throw. Holiday digs it out. Nice play by the Yankee first baseman as Pujols ends up at second base.
That's a pretty good play by Headley. He's made some good ones in this series. First game he made an error, which was his 11th of the season, but this time showing some good range. Looked like it was going to be another hit for Escobar versus Pineda. .421 batting average, trying to improve on that one, but Headley prevents that with a nice play and a good scoop by Matt Holliday over at first base, preventing potential double. Would have been 13th of the season for Escobar. Instead, Albert's in scoring position representing the tying run. A couple pretty good plays at first base so far from Matt Holliday.
Valbuena drove one to the wall in the first inning with the bases loaded and ended up going as a sac fly. 14th run batted in.
Takes low. Shift on. Gregorius up the middle. Pujols at second base. As we've seen in the series, Hicks plays a little deeper in center. Ball at a strike. Staying downstairs. Yankees with 4 in the first. Halos with 1 in the first, 2 in the second. 4-3 as we stay here in the third inning.
Yeah, a lot of those pitches, even the first at that lower part of the strike zone or below, all 3 same spot here. Pitch above Buena, good numbers against Pineda. 40 pitches thrown, 25 of them strikes. They certainly haven't been comfortable. It could have gave up a grand slam, a line out to third, another nice play by Headley on that ground ball by Escobar. He hasn't fooled anybody quite yet. And you mentioned earlier, Victor, his numbers on the road, just under 6 ERA. Over that now with these 3 runs early.
Ground ball to the right side. Holiday deciding to go after it, but Carter Castro's there. Pineda covers, 2 down. Pujols over to third. So it's up to Simmons to try to tie this one up. He hit one sharply in his first at bat, lined out to Headley in the first. Anderson's 0 for 1.
Very good his last 28 games, 342 batting average. 6th in the American League since May 15th for Simba. And a rocket rated Headley his first at bat for an out.
Plays off the slider. That's a pretty good pitch. Doesn't get the call. That was a live fastball at 95. Pineda's last start at home was against Boston. 7 innings, 1 unearned run on 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, and 2 walks.
See the good velocity on his fastball there at 95. He's elevated all his fastballs, 4-seam fastballs upstairs.
Back to the breaking ball and a 2-0 count.
That's a good pitch by him. Especially you got Simmons looking fastball on a 2-0 count. There was a lot of cut fastballs and sliders. We're back with another slider on a 2-1 pitch. This time Simmons didn't chase it. Eric Young Jr. on deck, already 1 for 1. Run scored.
3-1. There's a strike.
Cut fastball right on the outside corner. Imagine he's going to go slider here now. A lot of room on that right side of the infield to punch that ball to that side of the field. Anderson Simmons on a slider.
Three-2. Anderson got a piece of it, fouls it off. Pineda gave up a single, then the home run. Espinosa into second, then retired the next 3 guys. Giving up a single to lead off to third by Pujols. Escobar's grounded out, as has Valbuena. Someone's asking for time. Another payoff. Got a fastball.
Pretty good hack at it too, fouled it straight back. Just enough of that running action inside prevents Simmons from getting the barrel on that, lining into the outfield.
.48 pitches overall for Pineda. This will be his 21st coming up.
Good bat working here for Simba. Again, he got another fastball there. I would be real surprised if he got another fastball from Pineda.
Sanchez set up outside. 3-2 again. And he takes low.
Real
tough pitch to lay off of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a real good at bat on a changeup. Eric Young coming to the plate. Now it's time for the AARP getting to know Eric Young Jr. 30th round pick back in 2003 by the Colorado Rockies. Back in 2013, he led the National League in stolen bases. His father, Eric Young, also at a late pick, 43rd pick, also led the National League in stolen bases back in 1996.
Young with that base hit, the lead off the second, scored on the home run by Espinosa.
That talking conversation where the throw is going to be if Anthony Simmons decides to go.
I can't imagine that.
I wouldn't throw.
Albert's on the back end of a double steal.
No.
Made a 6'7" right-hander. Originally in the Seattle Mariners organization.
31st. Talk about this Yankee team could be a pretty good basketball team with Judge and Betances, Pineda. Pretty good front line.
CeCe's not small.
No. Chris Carter. Matt Holliday also.
Top of foul. If this were a hockey team, I think Matt Holliday would be the Marty McSorley of the bunch. Big, strong dude.
Look at those forearms.
He's the enforcer.
Yes, look at those forearms he's got working over there.
And he's a big guy. There was a picture they took when they left Yankee Stadium, he and Aaron Judge. But everyone, doesn't matter. I think we just make a blanket statement.
Yeah.
Judge makes everyone look small.
Yes. Even has a chance to make Giancarlo Stanton look small.
This is a wild pitch. Pujols will come in to score. We're tied at 4. Simmons ends up at second base.
That pitch had a lot of movement on it. Very difficult pitch to be able to block if you're a catcher. Sanchez not much of an opportunity to do so. Cut fastball in the dirt and a spin off right off the forearm area, and gets away and allowing Albert to score from third base.
2 balls and a strike. Over to first, under the glove of Holiday into right field. Here comes Simmons. Halos have taken a 5-4 lead. Eric Young Jr. with his second hit of the game.
Mr. Energy provides the spark once again. The go-ahead single score, and Anderson Simmons and gets down and gets this pitch, brings his hands inside and gets that baseball by Matt Holliday at first base. And with the speed of Anderson Simmons, who runs the bases very well, easily scores. Those strides that Simba has. Excellent scores after the wild pitch allowed Albert to score and got Simmons in the scoring position. Eric Young Jr. with another quality at bat, 10 RBI for the season for E.Y. Jr. And just like that, the Angels with the lead.
As I was saying in the first inning, if you're going to give up some runs, do it early, because then it gives you 9 opportunities to kind of chip away.
That Shoemaker now knowing he has the lead. The offense has come right back. Now it's up to him to put up some zeros the rest of the way. Bringing up Danny Espinosa, who hit a 2-run home run. His first at bat in the second, with Eric Young Jr. at first base.
Got the clean-shaven Danny Espinosa picture up on the screen. No longer the big beard of the offseason. Danny didn't waste any time in that second inning at bat, jumping on that first one. Towering home run down the right field line, 6th of the season, a 2-run shot, now with 24 runs batted in.
Looks like EY wants to go.
This one's out toward right center field. Got jammed a little bit. Hicks calling off Ref Snyder. Third out is in the books. The Angels scored twice on a couple of hits. The Angels on top 5-4 as we head to the 4th. America's champion at golf's can't miss major of the year. The 117th U.S. Open begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. on FS1, 3 p.m. on Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
That's going to be back out the bump. That's going to be a lot of fun to check out.
5-4 lead, courtesy of Eric Young Jr. with a couple of hits and an RBI.
Well, you can see the confidence in his eyes right now.
Sanchez, Gregorius, and Headley for the Pinstripers here in the fourth. Sanchez pulls one to left field. That pitch was up and hammered.
Again, another all-speed pitch. Talked about the batting average for Sanchez versus sliders and all-speed pitches. Lines that one in. The target was set low by Gratterall, and Shoemaker missed it.
But again, like you said, why continue to throw off speed pitches to a guy who's hitting so well against those pitches?
I see how he sits back. His swing is conducive to driving a slider or changeup or split. Right, we're seeing Charles Nagy calling down to the bullpen. Well, this is the one time when you need that shutdown inning. Bridwell getting ready. Parker Bridwell, who picked up his first major league win. The Angels earlier this season, as we call it today, like Morin sent down.
Didi popped out his first time up. 1 ball and strike. And I think what you're seeing from Socia is that he doesn't want this to get away. It's 5-4. You've got a lead. You see what your team is doing.
Yeah, when you come back like that, it's a game where you really feel you have to win.
Right.
Especially down 4-0 in the top of the first against this dangerous lineup for the Yankees. And your offense responds back against a pitcher with 7 wins in Michael Pineda this year early on.
Good off-speed pitch.
And that was a good one there for Shoemaker. Stayed on top of that one well, straight down with that pitch.
Reaching for it. Got to get one out of this at the very least, and Valbuena does it. Back-to-back hits to open up the fourth.
Valbuena going into that baseball at that point. Try to apply a tag. Was able to get his hand in. Initially thought, well, maybe he didn't get to the bag. But he does so, gets a hit.
Gregorius extends his hitting streak to 16 games now with that infield knock. And Nagy out for a visit, his second of the night. Here comes Eric Munson and assistant trainer Mike Socia. So I don't know what this is about.
So at this point, it might end up being being an official visit.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, that's at the discretion of Jerry Davis.
Exactly.
Because there was a meeting before that. It looks like he might even come out.
I think he looks like he's going to be out of the game.
Yeah.
When you have that long of a conversation. Yep, they're going to go to the bullpen, Mike Scioscia.
The Shoemaker departs here. And Parker Bridwell coming on in relief. Pitching change in the fourth, 5-4 Halos.
Being brought to you by the all-new 2017 Subaru Impreza. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive plus 28 miles per gallon. More than a car, it's a Subaru. By Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com.
First two base runners reaching here in the fourth for the New York Yankees. Parker Bridwell summoned from the bullpen. That Shoemaker taken out of the game. Not sure why. Remember, Bridwell was already warming up, and it was after a conversation with Nagy in which Nagy looked back to the dugout and had Scioscia and Munson come out and take a look at him, and so he got removed. One game with the Angels. It was his start, and he won May 30th against the Atlanta Braves. First big league win. Facing Chase Headley. The first fastball's downstairs at 93. 25-year-old right-hander, native of Hereford, Texas, just outside of Amarillo. The 2 games with Baltimore last season. Like I just mentioned, one start this year at the major league level with the Angels. Falls behind at 2-0. Headley popped down his first time up. Sanchez at second, Gregorius at first.
Bridwell's fastball is 90 to 93, 94 range. He'll throw a slider, cut fastball, changeup. Very good changeup.
This is hit to the right side. That hits the base runner. He's out.
And both runners go back to first and second.
Sanchez will have to head back to second base.
As I recall, Headley will get a base hit out of that.
Yes, he will. It was going to be an out. Espinosa would have been there on the grounder.
Try to avoid it off the leg. More than likely, though, it ends up being second and third with one out.
Yep.
Said it's still first and second. You have a double play in order.
First and second, one out. Here's Rob Refsnyder, who tripled off the wall and right. Espinosa gets credited with an assist. So 4 unassisted.
The most important thing, though, is that double play still in order.
Two balls, no strikes. Triple by Ref Snyder in the second, his first of his major league career. Back towards second, Espinosa races to the bag, got him! Double play ends it.
Just like you set it up, a line drive double play. He didn't let anybody be involved in this inning to be able to get all 3 outs. See a foot on the base before Sanchez got back.
FS1 in just 1 year's time. So start your clocks.
Yes.
The greatest teams, the greatest players, and undoubtedly on the world's greatest stage. Let the countdown begin.
I can't wait for that. I'm getting ready. Yes.
9-1-2 for the Angels here at the bottom of the fourth. Why not get ready for it?
Yes.
Well, Danny Espinosa recording 3 outs, touched the baseball once.
Yes. That's taking advantage of your glove, and he's also hit a 2-run home run.
Gratterall, ground ball to short. The first time tonight, leadoff man retired to start an inning by Michael Pineda. Bring up Cameron Maven.
Center fielder, number 9, Cameron.
Gratterall's over 2.
Well, against this Yankee club, you got to keep adding on.
David 1 for 2. The ball in the dirt, 2 balls and a strike. Infield base hit in the first inning, grounded out in the second. Chopper toward the middle. Gloria Silva.
A little bit of a stumble, still light on the throw to be able to get maybe in the first. One thing you don't want to see if you're the Angels is Pineda starting to settle in and getting ground balls, because when he's on his game, especially with his cutter and slider and changeup, generally they're going to be downstairs. He's going to get a lot of ground ball action, 2 in a row here at the start of the fourth. Cole has seen 2 pitches so far in this game.
Fly ball to center, a ground ball to first. This is line to left field, a base hit. That's what Cole was doing at the start of the month. Taking what was given to him and just punching it that way, getting his knocks.
Letting that baseball travel a little bit deeper, getting that foot down and clearing the hips and the swing path to go the other way. Go back to my Hyundai key for this game, and Albert so far is solid game. Feed the machine. The base runner on here to try to add on. Albert lined a couple singles already. He can get some lift and drive one here. His good buddy Mike Trout watching on. Getting closer and closer. Said today Mike Sochi may be swinging the bat this weekend, or at least early part of next week, which is a great sign.
Albert 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a run scored. 2,882 hits. 2 away from tying Zach Wheat. 40th all time. Stacked the infield with 3 on the left side.
At that point, you're forced to pitch inside, and that's exactly what Pineda did on that pitch. Off the plate in.
One of the better change-ups Pineda has thrown tonight.
Castro moving a little bit further over, just past the second base bag now with 2 strikes on Albert.
Another number back toward the mound. Pineda's got it. It's a good slider as well. The Angels are done here in the 4th. We'll head to the 5th inning. It's a 5-4 Angel lead.
My good boy Rory McIlroy. He hasn't been playing great, but he says he's feeling a lot better. I know he's been home working on his game, but I really got to give a shout out to my boy JB Holmes. I hope he plays well, but really it's going to come down to putting and putting strokes gained.
I'm going with Ricky Fowler this weekend at Erin Hills in the U.S. Open. I think because, number one, the greens are perfect there, and his putting, he's tops in the world for strokes gained through putting. His driving accuracy is going to be on point. And if his wedge play stays hot, I think he'll come down to the wire on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of people are feeling that Ricky Fowler has a real legit shot at winning the U.S. Open.
Going, my guy, Jordan Spieth.
Your guy.
Oh, that's right. Parker Bridwell back out for the 5th. Top of the order, Gardner, Hicks, and Judge. It'll be Spieth or Dustin Johnson. I'll go long ball hitters. 8,000 yards.
Yeah.
Go get them. 2-0. Gardner 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored in the first. Struck out in the second. Lifted out toward left.
With Aaron Hicks coming to play now, it's time for Tools of the Trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks. The Angels lead by 1. It could have been a lot more, but Aaron Hicks in center field with the bases loaded. Bottom of the first, Valbuena looking for a grand slam. Aaron Hicks timed that lead perfectly to bring that one back. It would have been, at that point, a game-tying grand slam, but Aaron Hicks has done everything this season. Run the bases well, has hit very good, especially high on base percentage, but center field play, very good for the Yankees.
Hicks 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out. Out to left, not very deep. Here comes EY. 2 down.
Mr. Energy making another good play in the outfield. So I'll make some really good plays in the outfield down in Houston also.
So Aaron Judge steps to the play with 2 outs, nobody on. He's 1 for 2. Single, stole the base and scored a run in the first and a fly ball to right in the 3rd inning. Fastball in there. 96-mile-per-hour heater. Good breaking ball.
It's a sharp slider. Well, you know, as a pitcher, you are locked in your focus when you're facing Aaron Judge.
That's awesome. You talking to me?
Yes, it does look good.
Slider misses 1-2. Nice and cool on this warm night.
Oh, yeah.
Fell back.
Challenging the fastball, 95.
Bridwell, a 9th round pick out of high school by the Orioles in 2010. Halos picked him up. A player to be named or cash mid-April. 1-2. Pulled down the line. Backhanded by Escobar. Plants across the diamond. And Valbuena can't dig it out. Kind of waved at that one.
Yeah, as a first base, you just stay back. That's one of those hops where you have a better shot at scooping that one.
Escobar gets charged with the error, his 9th of the season.
Good play on this one down the line for, Escobar gathered himself the low throw.
And that's not even close as a first baseman. Guess that ball took a weird hop over the glove. We've seen Uni get in trouble with those throws. That elbow drops.
Yeah, it seems like when he has a little bit of time, that's when those throws get away from him. When it's a quick play on him, the throws have been perfect to first base.
Matt Holliday takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Holiday, sack fly in the first inning, picking up his 45th RBI. Worked the walk into third. Matt Shoemaker, by the way, 3 innings plus 2 batters, 6 hits, including a home run to Sanchez, 2 strikeouts, a walk, a hit batter, 4 runs, all 4 earned.
Haven't heard anything yet about why Shoemaker left the game.
This is a ball through the left side, a single. Hanging breaking ball. So with 2 outs, the error by Escobar gives Holiday the opportunity to pick up a base hit. Now Starlin Castro coming up.
Second baseman, number 14, Starlin Castro.
Good conversation there by Juan Graterol. Parker Bridwell, just to get him back focused, especially when you have a very good hitter. You think about how many hits he has had in his career since 2011. 1,089 hits since 2011 for Castro. That's the 5th highest in the majors. From 2011 on, a very good hitter at the plate now.
Castro hit by a pitch and scored a run in the first. Double play ball in the third, so he's 0 for 1. Yikes. That's a strike, but a dangerous zone. Starlin Castro likes to swing early.
Yeah, he's always sitting on a fastball first pitch. During that stretch from 2011 to now, tops as far as the hits, Robinson Cano.
One and 2.
Try to stay on top until that nasty slider to get a swing and miss here.
1-2 pitch. Fastball line to left. Trying to sneak a fastball in. Being waved around as Judge. Here comes a throw by E.Y. Jr. Get it on! Get it done, son!
Talking about doing it all. Swinging the bat, covering ground, and then the perfect throw to the plate to nail Aaron Judge to get through the inning. And no damage done. Eric Young Jr. Mr. Energy on the throw. Got behind the baseball, a little bit of a bobble with the throw into the plate, and Graterol flies the tag.
Fifth inning, Eric Young Jr. have a game.
He's already got his helmet on. He's ready to hit. He's up fourth in this inning. But how about E.Y. Jr.'s throw? How about Juan Granderol dealing with Aaron Judge coming towards the plate? That's the thing you're thinking, okay, is he going to try to run me over? That is a gigantic human being.
Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Please don't.
Please slide, especially slide head first like he did, but a perfect throw by Eric Young Jr.'s first outfield assist of the season.
Yurnel Escobar to lead things off, 1 for 2. Single and a ground ball to third base. Chopper towards short. One down.
Didi Gregorius is getting busy here in this game now. A lot of ground ball action now from Mikey Pineda. Like Pinedas is trying to show upstairs with his fastball and his cut fastball upstairs, and then whether it's his slider or changeup at the knees to get a ground ball.
Ball and a strike on Luis. Sac fly in the first inning. Grounded out in the third. Pineda settling down a little bit. Did give up a hit in the fourth, but nothing else. There was action in the Yankee pen briefly in the third inning. 2-1. 3-1 now. 4 runs, 9 hits, 4 left on for New York. 5 runs, 8 hits, an error, 4 left on for the Angels.
There's a lot of action in this game already. We're only in the 5th inning.
Fouled right back off the mask. Sanchez appears to be all right. That is ripped in the right field toward the corner. Ref Snyder will play the carom. Now Buena strolls into second with a 1-out double.
Good piece of hitting there by Luis. Hit the ball well a couple of times tonight. The would-be grand slam was tracked down at the wall by Aaron Hicks, and then this one here on a 3-2 pitch, upstairs, off-speed pitch, lines it down in the corner. And a great bat flip to boot. Picking up his 3rd double this season.
Andrelton Simmons 0 for 1 with a liner. A walk and a run scored. Action now in the Yankee pen. Ronald Herrera called up today. 22-year-old getting ready.
Both managers seeing the ebbs and flow of momentum in this game.
Big lead at second for Valbuena. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think you'll see quite a few times from Anderson Simmons. He won't go after that high pitch. He's able to bring his hands up pretty good on that pitch at the top of the strike zone, even above it.
Chopper left side. Gregorius has it.
It's a strong throwing
2
arm.
down. Valbuena stays at second. It'll be up to Eric Young.
2 for 2, 2 singles and an RBI. He's also scored a run.
Well, the way he's going in the comfort zone in the batter's box, you just feel he's going to be in a good pass at this pitch here. And this at bat again, already 2 singles, an RBI, and a run scored. Taking that hard slider, back-to-back sliders out of the strike zone.
Two-0 pitch. Chopper to the right side. Castro feeds Pineda, and the inning comes to an end. That double stranded in scoring position. We head to the 6th inning. Halos leading by a run.
Chevrolet, big enough to deal, small enough to care. 5-4 Halos, top of the 6th inning here at the Big A, the final game of this 3-game set, the rubber game, if you will. Yankees took game 1, 5-3. The Angels walking off on the Pinstripers last night. And the Yankees jumped ahead early, 4-0 in the top of the first. Gary Sanchez with a 3-run blast and capped the scoring, but the Angels have chipped away. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. Lead at 5-4, and Sanchez will lead things off here in the 6th against Parker Bridwell. 3rd inning of relief. First one in for a strike. 3-run blast in the first, a single in the 4th. A 2-hit game for Sanchez. 11 home runs on the season, 31 runs batted in. Wanted appealing, did not go. One. Little dribble back toward the mound. Bridwell's going to have to hurry. Fires to first, and he sends it down the line. Espinosa chasing after it. Thought about throwing it to second. A little bit late. And reaching is Sanchez on the error by Bridwell.
It almost looked like Bridwell was waiting for Juan Gratterall to take that ball. And the throw right behind the back of Sanchez.
I think that little double clutch there by Espinosa. If he fires it in, maybe he gets a shot at it. At second. So it's a single and an error. So a 3-hit game for Sanchez. Didi 1 for 2 with a single in his last at bat. Waves at the off-speed pitch.
Pretty surprised he got a hit on that ball anyhow. That's an out at first base. If Parker's able to field that and make a good throw to first base.
That's official scoring today across Major League Baseball. They call it an error. The Yankees will phone it in and ask for the hit. And vice versa. It's just how it works nowadays. One ball, one strike. Fouled off.
And that cut fastball upstairs. It's a good changeup from Parker Bridwell. Did not get Gregorius to chase it though.
Oh, a little flip down the line, and that is just foul. You talk about a last-minute swing at a pitch. And almost picking up a knock that tied this score up.
Again, it was elevated enough. You can do that. Let's try to punch that ball. We talked about how when he's got 2 strikes on him, his approach changed completely from what that first pitch you'll see where he's trying to drive the ball. Now he's just trying to make contact.
Headley on deck. Got him swinging. Just tied him up with a fastball in, one down.
Especially after that pitch, an all-speed pitch, 2 in a row, one down and then the other away, and then ran that fastball inside off the plate for a swing and miss. Big out. Not only get the out, you don't allow Sanchez to advance to third base.
Headley 1 for 2. Pop up in a single. Espinosa out is shallow right. Swims outside.
Two in a row out of the strike zone. Going to run that change up, get him to chase. Headley has not chased it.
To what? This is up to center. Base hit. Sanchez is going to be waved around. The throw from Maben is cut off. Headley caught on a rundown between first and second. 2 down. Score tied at 5. Headley picks up his 27th run batted in.
He's had a big series, some big hits for the Yankees in this series. And maybe that throw just got underneath it, dropped his elbow, and it runs up that third base line play by Balbuena to cut that one off and get Headley in a rundown, and the tag applied by Danny Espinosa.
Ralph Snyder looks at a strike. Starting right fielder tonight with Judge serving as the DH. 1 for 2 with a triple, and he lined into a double play. Ground ball toward the hole. Simmons to the backhand has it. And this 6th is in the books, but the Pinstripers tie it up. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a 5-5 game. You that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Angels and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Danny Espinosa, Juan Gratterall, and Cameron Maben here in the Angels half of the 6th inning. Espinosa takes a strike. Danny, a home run in the 2nd inning, a fly ball to center in the 3rd. Oh, 2 a little bit high.
Tried to climb the ladder there in a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
One, 2. Espinosa goes down, swinging. One down. First strikeout of the night for Pineda.
Think about it, coming into the game, 75 strikeouts and 71 2/3 innings pitched.
Gratterall is 0 for 2 tonight. Pulls it down the line, and Headley with another diving stop. 2 down. He's made some nice plays at 3rd in the series.
Yeah, he reminiscing when he won a Gold Glove back with San Diego in 2012. Showing some good range on the dive, gets up quickly. Good accurate throw to first base by Headley. It's about the 4th or 5th really good defensive play by Headley in the series. And some good at-bats also. There's that Gold Glove he won in 3rd for the Padres back in 2012.
Camber tonight 1 for 3. No balls, 2 strikes. Pineda certainly settled in the last couple of innings. He scattered a couple of hits, but the slider's been really good.
Yeah, 1 strikeout, 7 ground ball outs in the last 2 2/3 innings pitched for Pineda.
Reaching for it, and it's a foul ball.
Mentioned earlier, he'll show upstairs as far as his fastball, bread and butter, slider, and change up down.
Down the right field line, Refsnyder moving over, runs out of room.
For the most part in this game, though, the Angels hitters have done a real good job of laying off that slider out of the strike zone. Same thing with his changeup. Danny Espinosa with a 2-run home run. Eric Young Jr. with 2 hits and an RBI.
One, two. Downstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Pretty tough changeup to lay off of. With that speed of Cameron Maybin is trying to get on base. Give Cole Calhoun a chance to swing the bat here in this inning.
That's line to left, a base hit. Got to pitch up. Cameron picks up his 2nd hit of the night.
Real good job as far as bringing his hands up to line that ball in the hole between short and third. Stayed back on it, laid off some pitches that were below the strike zone. This little cut fastball about belt high and lines it short on a swing. The approach. Get that foot down, shorten up the swing, choked up on the bat, and lines it in the left field for his 2nd hit of the game. Certainly will be paying attention to him at first base here.
Pitch out, nothing's happening. Cole 1 for 3, had a base hit down the left field in the 4th inning.
It looked like Cameron read that well, that there was something on, a little quicker to the play for Pineda. And we always say when you're going to have a pitch out put on by your manager, you want to try to sell it and do everything exactly the same. Good base runners realize something's different when you become quicker to the plate.
Maybin had a huge jump.
And you see the big difference between his normal delivery and that pitch out. He read it well, picks up his 20th stolen base of the season. See, those times at the plate, not real quick for Pineda. Easily slides in there, no throw from Sanchez. He had no chance anyhow. And try to be quick on the transfer, wouldn't have had a shot anyhow.
Maybin representing the go-ahead run, and Cole now ahead of the count at 2-0. Two-0 outside, going with the off speed.
Albert Pujols on deck. See that good swing, that last at bat by Cole, lining a base hit in left center field. Allowed him to track the baseball well here. Imagine Cole will be swinging. He gets a fastball, 3-0, green light for him.
Pitcher's pitch.
Good decision not to go after that one.
.99 pitches so far for Pineda. 1 strikeout, 1 walk, 10 hits allowed. Albert's on deck.
3-1. And he'll take a strike. Similar spot. Full count.
Another one of those pitches right on the outside corner. Definitely in the strike zone.
Now the payoff. Cole got an off-speed pitch.
One of those ones you have to protect, especially when you have two pitchers called in the lower part of the strike zone already in this at bat.
Two-out single by Maben on a stolen base, putting him in scoring position. A 5-5 game. And Cole chases what may have been ball 4. He'll go down swinging. We'll head to the 7th, tied at 5.
Kansas City Royals beat San Francisco. They won 4 straight. Also had 3 home runs in this game. Boston Red Sox, winners of 16 the last 23 games. And let's take a look at our showstopper around the majors. Speaking of those Boston Red Sox playing good baseball, Mookie Betts in Philadelphia. Not one. This ball was crushed, by the way, to left center field, but 2 home runs for Mookie Betts. What a game he had. 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Boston 16-7 in the last 23. Phillies have now lost 8 in a row.
Parker Bridwell back out for his 4th inning of relief. Top of the order, Gardner, Hicks, and Judge here the 7th. 5-5 game. Gardner 1 for 3 with a single, a strikeout, a fly ball to left.
Pretty good slider.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Bridwell, 1 strikeout, no walks. He's allowed 5 hits. Three-two on the way. Back up the middle. Simmons to his left. Has it. Gets up. Fires to first and can't get him. What a play by Andrelton Simmons just to even make it a play at first base.
That range he has is outstanding. Got a lot on that throw. Hopefully he's okay. Gardner just runs too well. Able to just barely beat that one out. Right back over the pitching rubber, but the range for Andrelton Simmons. Try to get a lot on that throw. What a play, though. Look at this play here at first base, but looks like he got his foot down before the ball is in the glove. Yep.
Great effort. Aaron Hicks steps up. You got to pay attention to Gardner at first base. 7 stolen bases on the year. But caught once. Hicks takes downstairs. Hicks tonight 0 for 3. A strikeout, a ground out, and a fly ball to left. Single by Gardner, the 12th hit for New York. Halos with 10. What about 48th pitch of the night for Bridwell. Took over for Matt Shoemaker. Shoemaker coming out of the 4th inning after back-to-back batters reached on singles. Came out with the training staff. Still no word. Hopefully it's just something more precautionary than anything else. Just missed off the plate. 2-1.
Pretty good take. That was a good changeup by Bridwell. Pitches for Bridwell. So Gardner's thinking about going.
A ball on the third base side, and now there goes an infield base hit. Escobar was playing back. And you can't just give that up to Aaron Hicks. He'll take it, especially from the left side. The first 2 have reached to start the 7th.
Especially when you're hitting that number 2 spot, you've done so well as far as putting the ball in play. That's a gift run. Gift runner, I should say. Button right down the line. It's going to stay fair every time.
I tell you what, credit Aaron Hicks for seeing it. I mean, you saw where Escobar was playing. You're in a tie game in the 7th inning. Give it a shot. At worst, even if you get thrown out, you've got Gardner in second base representing the go-ahead run.
Talking about a big moment in the game. This is that moment here. Bridwell versus Judge.
Judge a single to the first, a fly ball to right in the 3rd. Reached on the error by Escobar in the 5th. Then he was thrown out at the plate trying to score on the single by Castro in that 5th inning. Nobody out. We are in the 7th. Some movement now in the Angels' pen. Slider swinging a miss. Look down the right field line in the stands, especially in the lower deck. They're on their feet for the Judge. That's where all the Yankee fans are. As Parker starts to crank it up. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He certainly has brought a lot of excitement around baseball, not just in New York, but everywhere he's been.
Good speed on the bases for New York. Slider out toward left field. E.Y. Jr. with a diving catch. 1 down. He timed it perfectly.
You're talking about doing it all. That is not an easy play at all. Little top hand spin on it. The full extension on the dive by Eway Jr. The glove, the arm, the wheels, and the bat tonight. What a play. A gutsy play. If he gets by him, 2 runs scored easily. And again, his head is completely still as he makes that dive. That way his eyes are right on it. Cole Calhoun, who's won a Gold Glove before, likes that play by Eway Jr. Liking that energy. What a play.
Parker getting ready. This to give him an opportunity to crank it up. That reaction by Eric Young Jr. If you've ever wondered whether or not a player feeds off the energy of his teammates and of the fan base, especially in a game like this that has been tight from the 3rd inning on, that reaction tells you that they absolutely do.
You can see it when he even gets back into that dugout.
Breaking ball for a strike. Matt Holliday, the first baseman tonight, sac fly in the 1st, walked in the 3rd, singled in the 5th. Slider just missed low.
Well, we talked about Eway Jr. in the opening, what he did with the bat last night, tied the game up, wins the game with a walk-off hit, but he's made some great plays defensively tonight. A perfect throw and a couple hits.
Popped him up. Andrelton Simmons into the shallow left field grass.
Well, the way Eway Jr. played the outfield, you got to get back there quickly. He wants to catch everything.
Second baseman, number 14,
2 down. Gardner remains at second. Hicks at first. Starlin Castro coming to the plate. They're going to go to Parker here, huh?
Looks like it the way Mike Scioscia's looking down there.
Yep, sure enough. You surprised?
No, especially the way Parker has thrown the baseball, and Bridwell gave up a base hit to Castro last at bat. I think, you know, when you think about it, it was a good play again by Eway Jr. in the throw to the plate.
Heck of a job for Parker Bridwell. 3 2/3 innings. Helped down on the defensive side of things by Eric Young Jr. He departs with a couple of men on in a tie game.
What an outstanding play with 2 on, none out. Aaron Judge with the line drive, but what a play.
In the 7th and 2 outs. Blake Parker on a relief, but also before we get to that, I want to remind you on Saturday, Royals are in town. It's a 5:15 start. Enjoy a very merry post-game Saturday night fireworks show and stay after the post-game for a post-game movie, which will be Elf. More information on the Saturday night fireworks show presented by Wells Fargo and post-game movie. Just go to angels.com. Parker Bridwell, 3 2/3, 7 hits, a strikeout, no walks, and he's responsible for the 2 guys on base. 56 pitches for the right-hander. Did a nice job in calming things down. Did give up the tying run in the 6th. That was at the swinging hit, bunt hit by Gary Sanchez. Eventually scored on the single by Chase Headley. Blake Parker pitching in his 33rd game. 1-2 record, a 2.10 ERA, 30 innings. 45 punch outs and 9 walks. Blake pitched on Monday. Going an inning and a third, 2 strikeouts and a base on balls. He'll face Starlin Castro. 1 for 2. He's also hit by a pitch and has scored a run.
Pretty impressive though when you mentioned a 33rd game and the team has played 69 so far. So he's been in a ton of games.
First pitch upstairs with a fastball at 93. Good fastball, and he kept it away from Castro. 1-1. Saw that note that he was selected off waivers at one point from the Yankees organization. But then the Angels put him on waivers. Brewers picked him up. Brewers put him on waivers, and the Angels picked him right back up. One.
A strike. Good fastball. Got the benefit of that call.
Overthrown. Gratterall has to go off his body, but not far enough for anybody to advance.
That's a nice job by Gratterall to keep that baseball in front of him. That was well in front of the plate. Not an easy play to keep that baseball in front either by Gratterall. Solid play. Off the chest protector, and he's looking up to see if Gardner would try to advance.
Two pitch. Upstairs, full count, and now the base runners will get a head start. Gardner from second, and Hicks from first. Gary Sanchez on deck. The runners go. They actually did not go until the last second. That was kind of odd.
Yes.
Unless they forgot.
Well, they were anticipating a spin move, but that's not something you're trying to do as a base runner. You're trying to get a big jump. See that reaction by even Joe Girardi, like, why were they not going?
I thought for a second I got the count wrong. I thought it was 3-1. It's a full count. Runners go, 3-2, swing and a miss. Down goes Starlin Castro as he swings it, ball 4. Stretch time here at the Big A. Albert Pujols to lead things off. It is a 5-5 tie. Hits tonight, the only starters without a knock, Simmons and Gratterall. Although Andrelton has gotten on base via the walk, ended up scoring one of the 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Gratterall's had a nice game behind the plate defensively, so everyone contributing so far. Michael Pineda, the starter for New York, is no longer in the game. He goes 6 innings tonight, 5 runs, all earned on 10 hits, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. And making his major league debut is the 22-year-old right-hander Ronald Herrera, the native of Maracay, Venezuela. Originally in the Oakland A's system, got traded to the Padres a couple of seasons ago and picked up by the Yankees. He was having a fantastic season at Double-A, a 7-0 mark at a 1.07 ERA.
How about making your debut and the first batter you face? Albert Pujols on his way to the Hall of Fame.
In a 5-5 game in the 7th.
Yeah, and 601 career home runs. Already with 2 hits in the game for Albert.
Herrera leading the Eastern League in wins, ERA, and WHIP. And the lowest batting average against of 166. So let's see what he features here against big league hitters. Pujols, Escobar, and Valbuena due up for the Angels here in their half of the 7th.
Big curveball on with a power fastball.
This is blank going the middle. Castro with the shift on's got an easy play, 1 out. Albert 2 for 4 with that ground down.
That ball was hit well by Albert. The shift on. And he was able to make that a routine play.
Bouncer to third. 2 pitches. 2 outs.
And a lot of ground ball outs today for the Angels. Those really good swings throughout themselves with 10 hits and 5 runs.
I have 12 ground ball outs.
If you think about it, over the last 4 innings, or close to 4 innings, all the outs, except for 1 strikeout, a couple strikeouts, getting ground outs.
Valbuena 1 for 2, a sac fly in the first inning and a double in the 5th.
You almost had to take that first pitch. It'd be unfair. Your debut and you have a chance to get throw 3 pitches and get 3 outs.
Steak dinner too.
Yes.
Listed at 5'11", 185. 3 balls, no strikes. .30 pitch. Valbuena hacking it with a whip it. Perhaps ball 4. Yanks it way foul. Three and 1. And there's ball 4. So a 2-out walk puts a man on for Andrelton Simmons. Hey, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.TV for details. Andrelton 0 for 2 with a walk. Andrelton launches one out toward left field. Gardner going back at the wall. Gone! Big fly for Andrelton Simmons. Halos back on top, 7-5.
And Simba knew that ball was out of the yard. There's 2 guys that generally know when they're hitting the home run, but Andrelton Simmons knew it. 7th home run, 30 RBI on the season for Andrelton Simmons. And Simmons got all that body into that swing. He's got the foot down, the 2-toe tap, and then going down the 1 knee a la Adrian Beltre. With some distance, and he knew it.
First career home run against the Yankees for Andrelton Simmons.
Simba time.
That is some back leg action. 7th of the season. Now with 30 runs batted in.
Some good smiles from Albert on that one.
EY 2 for 3 with a couple of singles on an RBI. Almost hit him and did. Hit by pitch. A sharp breaking ball.
Almost
EY on board for the 3rd time. Sorry,
guarantee a chance to steal a base now for Eric Young Jr. There's Rothschild going out to talk to the youngster. His debut here tonight. Got 2 quick ground ball outs and a walk by Valbuena, and then Simmons, 2-run home run now hit by pitch.
Danny homered early in the game, back in the second. 2-run shot. 1 for 3. 6th of the year. 24 runs batted in.
Yankees anticipating Eric Young Jr. stealing here.
Changeup.
Sells that pretty good. Fastball's around 92, 93 range. Changeup pretty solid. Big overhand curveball.
EY's on the move. Changeup misses. Low throw. Gets away. Kicked out toward left, and EY will take third base. A stolen base and an error on Gary Sanchez.
5th error of the season by Sanchez. 6th stolen base of the season for EY Jr. Looked like he had a shot at him. Got a lot on that throw, but right off his foot, and then goes into the outfield. Right off the foot, but there was a potential play there. It's in the glove on the late slide by EY Jr., but off the foot into the outfield.
Called strike 3. Espinosa takes one looking. Young stays at third base, but Andrelton Simmons back legging one. 2-run blast into the bullpens. Putting the Angels back on top.
Going down to that one knee, but crushed that ball out. 7th home run of the season for Simmons.
From Simba, Andrelton Simmons, 2-run shot gives the Angels a 7-5 lead over the Yankees in this rubber game. We're heading to the top of the 8th. I'm Patrick O'Neill. Needless to say, so much to talk about in Angels Live postgame, brought to you by your SoCal Mazda dealers, with Jose Mota and Alex Curry getting all the reaction from the players, from Mike Scioscia and Eric Young Jr. Doing it with the glove, doing it with the bat, and with his wheels. It's been fun to see. His positivity has certainly been infectious. Let's bring it back inside and join Victor Rojas and Mark Gubaza. And Gooby, biggest game of the year so far.
No doubt, the energy in this ballpark has been outstanding.
Or at the very least, the most recent. Swing and a miss. Blake Parker back out of the bump. He struck out Starlin Castro with 2 on and 2 outs in the 7th. It's ahead of the count on Sanchez. He'll be followed by Gregorius and Headley for the Yankees here in the 8th.
It's a curveball from Parker. We know a lot about that fastball and split.
Sanchez 3 hits tonight, 2 singles and a home run. 3 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. One and 2.
Good fastball again from Parker. Upper part of the strike zone, 93.
They told that Matt Shoemaker departed tonight's game due to right forearm tightness. Stick around for the post-game show. Patrick, Jose, and Alex will update you on that. Two balls, 2 strikes.
We'll try to ride a fastball upstairs here against Sanchez. Very good on all speed pitches.
Ground ball to short.
I like that, going after with a fastball.
One down. Take a look at some of the scores around Major League Baseball. Houston took care of Texas 13-2, but the Rangers had a pretty good road trip prior to that loss. Seattle answered back on Minnesota 6-4. Miami over Oakland 11-6. The Rockies 5-1 winners over the Pirates. Mets, it was a battle. Cubs had the early lead.
Yeah.
Mets win at 9-4. Kansas City took care of San Francisco 7-2. Yankees shortstop 1 for 3.
Fastball inside from Parker. And Herrera made his Major League debut, got a couple quick outs on 2 pitches, then the walk and then the home run by Andrelton Simmons. Especially when you make your debut against Albert Pujols, but Simba is the one that made him pay.
Reaching forward, Espinosa.
It's a good idea going in there, cut down that angle. Don't play, sit back and take that extra hop. It would have been an infield hit.
Third baseman, number 12, Chase Hensley.
.16 pitches for Parker so far. He's gotten 2 outs here in the 8th.
Oh, 2. Headley with a 2-hit game, 2 singles and an RBI.
He's had a big series so far, both with the bat and the glove.
Swing and a miss. Gratterall having to throw down to first base, completes the strikeout. Parker faced 4 batters, punched down 2. In the bottom of the 8th, Halos on top by 2. Brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, the new benchmark of minivans. Test drive one at your local Chrysler dealership today. By Mercury Insurance, we're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast free quote and see how much you can save. And by Buick. Bottom of the 8th inning, Halos up by the score of 7-5. Herrera back out for another inning of work. Made his major league debut in the 7th inning and gave up a walk, a 2-run blast, and a hit batter. Turned a 5-5 game into a 7-5 Angel lead. Gratterall, Maben, and Calhoun for the Halos here in the 8th. Foul back. Gratterall's 0 for 3. That's line to left. Base hit for Gratterall. So now every starter tonight with a single, or at least a single.
He's been very good behind the plate also.
Center fielder, number 9, Cameron Maben.
Maybe another solid game here tonight.
Dribbler left side. Herrera off the mound. Just does throw out Maben for the first down. Juan ends up at second.
This works as a bunt. Herrera made a nice play on that. You had to get light on that throw as Maben's going down the line quickly. Especially for a youngster mentioned in making his debut here, major league debut tonight. Under control, athletic position to throw that ball to first. Gets Maben by a stride.
One for 4 tonight with base hit back in the 4th.
David Hernandez getting ready. But Norris has pitched back-to-back games. Hernandez has not pitched in the last 2 games.
Very important to add on here in the 8th. Chase that changeup off the plate. Well, just trying to bring Herrera in the strike zone here.
That's lined out towards center. Hicks is there. Gratterall. It's going to stay right there. Pujols coming up. 2 down. Good throw by Aaron Hicks, by the way. That's why you hear the oohs and ahs.
Made a great play.
I like that.
Yeah,
That little smirk.
it's like, don't go. Made that great play in the first inning. Bob Wayne of a grand slam. Conversation here. Do you want to go after Albert Pujols? Try to expand the strike zone. Don't throw anything near the zone against Albert. See if he'll chase.
Albert 2 for 4. A couple of singles and a run scored. He's grounded out the other 2 times. Albert was the first batter Herrera faced. The 7th inning. Swung at the first pitch and grounded out.
Lower part of the strike zone. Albert's been real good on a sinking fastball. 4 of his 10 home runs have been on a sinker this year. And he's got a couple of those pitches lower part of the strike zone, a little bit off the zone.
He had a pitch, a drive there. I think Albert's reaction after the swing kind of tells it all. Hung up on the inside part of the plate.
When you've hit as many baseballs as hard as Albert has throughout his career, you know when you have a pitch and you know when you just miss it.
Two balls, 2 strikes. 7-5 Halos here in the 8th.
Imagine Herrera will try that little slider down and away or changeup.
2-2. Called strike 3. Albert gets rung up, and we will head to the 9th. Halos up by 2.
game for E.Y. Jr. once again. Swinging the bat well, a couple more hits, an RBI, scored a run. Has been outstanding, bringing the energy. Perfect throw to the plate to get Aaron Judge at the dish. And then outstanding defensive plays in the outfield, showing the range. Diving on a play out there. Cole Calhoun loving it, loving the energy that E.Y. Jr. has brought to this club since being recalled from Salt Lake City. As the Angels lead this one 7-5 here in the 9th inning.
David Hernandez takes over on the mound. Hasn't pitched since Sunday in Houston. Went an inning and a third in that one. This will be his 23rd appearance. No record of 2.70 ERA, 22 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 20 innings of work. Yankees here in the 9th have 9-1-2. Ref Snyder, Gardner, and Hicks. Judge would be the 4th man. If we got to that point. Ref Snyder, the right fielder tonight, 1 for 3. First big league triple in the 2nd. Lined into a double play in the 4th and grounded out to short in the 6th.
And your goal was to see Aaron Judge in New York on Tuesday.
Ground ball, second base. Espinosa's there. 1 down. 43,851, a sellout tonight here at the Big A, and it was raucous from the get-go. Just a great vibe inside this ballpark. Yankees scored 4 at the top of the 1st inning, only to see the Angels answer with 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd to take a 1-run lead. The Pinstripers came back and scored a run in the 6th to tie it up before Simba hit the 2-run big fly to left field to give this Angels ball club a 2-run lead. Gardner with a 2-hit game, 2 for 4 overall. That one just missed off the plate.
One-on-one. Good location fastball. First one just a little bit off the outside corner.
Hernandez picked up a save last year with Philadelphia. Has 20 in his career. Trying to pick up his first as an Angel. Gardner fouls it off 1-2.
And that fastball upper part of the strike zone again.
Yankees threatened in the 7th with Gardner and Hicks getting on board with singles. But Bridwell got Judge to hit a fly ball to left. That was the E.Y. diving play. Holiday popped out, but Blake Parker struck out Castro. 1-2 upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gardner 2 for 2 in his career against David Hernandez, who one time in his career was an Oriole. Some of these guys have faced him before.
And as the norm, a lot of pitches thrown and seen by Brett Gardner.
Now towards center. Maben has to race back. And on the track will haul it in. 2 down.
2 outs here in the 9th inning. Now it's time for the Land Rover above and beyond player of the game. A lot of choices here, but Andrelton Simmons, big 2-run home run, breaking the 5-5 tie in the 7th home run of the season for each of the last 2 years for Simba, but a huge 2-run home run to give the Angels a lead here with an opportunity to win this series, up by 2 here now with 2 outs in the 9th.
1 ball, no strikes. Hicks 1 for 4 with a single back in the 7th.
It's the batter you want to get. David Hernandez, like I said, you want to see Aaron Judge in New York on Tuesday.
What? Phillies trying to win back-to-back series against 2 very good teams in the Astros and here the Yankees. 1-1 inside, 2 balls and a strike.
Escobar playing a little bit closer in now at third base.
"13 hits for New York, 12 for the Angels." Two, 1 out to deep right. Cole moving back on it. Reaching out for the wall, near the wall, leaps up. Did he get it? He did! Light that baby up! Halos pick up the victory and the series against the Yankees. 7-5 the final. The umpires might take a look at it, but right now the fireworks have gone off and it's a catch by Cole Calhoun.
And they're going to challenge it.
They are going to challenge it. We'll see what happens here. But what a terrific, terrific play if indeed he did catch it. But if you're the Yankees, why not take a shot at it?
See if he indeed went up and got it. He got it.
Oh, yeah.
He got it right in the glove.
He got it.
I don't blame him for challenging it.
Absolutely.
But he got it.
That pretty much sums up the way this game went.
What an atmosphere
No
in this
doubt.
ballpark.
They're going to take a look at it because the Yankees have challenged it, but the replay looks like that ball landed in the leather.
Another angle right
in
there.
the
That
leather.
ball is in the leather. What a play. And the players are walking out. The umpires haven't made their decision quite yet. But there's no doubt that baseball never got to the wall.
A couple of great plays.
What a game.
In the
what
series
an
in general. And yeah,
wow.
in this game. Oh, how about that?
Wow.
They're calling it a double, so they're saying it's contact up against the wall.
Wow.
Maybe it's this here, but I mean, that's got to be definitive. It's in the glove.
That's in the leather.
I'm not sure how they can overturn that.
That is unbelievable. That is in nothing but the leather.
They're saying that dead ball perhaps redirected off of that wall. So Aaron Judge will come up. Hicks at second base. Ground ball to third base. Just throw it on to first. If you now low throw, and now you can light that baby up. Halos celebrate a second time tonight.
what a game this was. Well, why wouldn't that happen? Amazing.
Well, let's break it down again, Gooby.
This was an amazing game. The energy in this ballpark was off the charts.
7-5 the final. The Angels take 2 of 3 from the Yankees. And the game had to be extended by 1 pitch because of the call in right field being overturned.
I still thought he caught this baseball.
Well,
I mean, there's...
Well, unless they're seeing a redirection, but I see a redirection off the leather.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
W's a W.
Yeah, W is a W. See the glove go back, and then the ball's in there. So, whatever. Angels win at 7-5. Let's go down to Alex Curry. Alex.
Pack battle down to the wire with nonstop energy from this crowd, the Angels bats. How encouraging was it to see every person in this lineup make a difference tonight?
It was impressive, but that's the kind of games we've been playing. We've been trying to stay in the game. Everybody's putting up good at bats. The pitchers, the bullpen came in and did an outstanding job and gave us a chance to come back.
And speaking of good at-bats, your first hit of the night is a go-ahead home run. What adjustment did you make in that final at-bat?
Just didn't miss my pitch. Just try to not get too aggressive. I got a good pitch to hit, and like I said, I didn't miss it.
And there's one teammate in particular who really stood out this series, and that is Eric Young Jr. What kind of spark has he brought this team in the last couple of weeks?
I mean, he's amazing. He's a very dynamic player. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense. He's putting up good at bats, making good plays in defense. Yeah, he's been really good for us and really sparked the offense.
Well, congratulations on the win in the series. Go enjoy it.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. The Angels take Game 3 and the series against the Yankees. But stick around for Angels Live with Patrick O'Neill and Jose Mota coming up next.